This is Ed McCarthy, CEO of Echelon Performance. My guest today on SideBar is Steve Woodruff, King of Clarity. If you've watched the first two parts of our interview, you know that Steve is, when it says the King of Clarity, he's the King of Clarity. A passionate person whose work really does make a difference. I've seen it firsthand with me. I know other teams and people that have worked with Steve. And the impact, Steve and I first worked together probably 10 or 15 years ago, and I still feel the positive impact of our work together. In the last time we spoke, hi, Steve.
Hey, good to see you again, Ed.
I'm just jumping right in. The last conversation that we had, you talked about sort of the four rules that govern communication. And I'm just going to go over them again. So the first one is have a point. The second one is get to the point. The third one is get your point across. And the final one is to get on the same page. And
right.
As I say that, people might think, wow, that's really simple. But there's way more to it. So if you haven't seen the last session, I would say go back, watch that, come back to this one, because I'm going to put something out to you and I'm going to just talk from, this is one instance, but I see this just a lot in the work that we do. We work with organizations to improve coaching, right? Make their coaching measurably better so it has a measurable impact on their business. That's it. And often, when an organization comes to us, they'll say, how can you help? And 50% of the time, we can't, because there's a missing piece. And the missing piece is that nobody in the organization has articulated expectations. So I'm going to talk myopically about our work, but let's talk about setting I want to just focus on this. So this organization came to us, A-list company, you would know the name if I said it. They came to us and said they're really struggling to quantify how good the coaching is. They want to improve it. They want to be, the head of learning and development says, we want to be able to show that we've improved it so we can keep our funding and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what are the expectations? So if I'm a manager in your organization, how do I know what's expected of me? How many times do I need to coach? What am I supposed to coach? Where if I'm going to document that and be on the same page with my representative, where does that go? And that hadn't been done. If that were the only time that that's happened, I would just write it off. But it happens a lot. And it's not just coaching, it's not just leadership, but this idea of setting expectations. I want to take your work with clarity and just talk about expectations. You can put it to that example or any other example that you have.
Yeah. That is a problem that has multiple levels. And so leadership clarity involves setting a clear direction, reinforcing a clear purpose, speaking with clarity, and that's that the Clarity Fuel formula is all about the tools to speak. But a crucial thing for leadership and management is, how do you set clear expectations? How do you create a roadmap and work with other people? And believe it or not, this problem for me goes all the way back to recruiting and job description. Job description tend to be very generic. They don't express the reality of the actual expectations or the daily tasks that people are going to do. They tend to be a gobbledygook of a bunch of stuff. And it's hard to picture what's really going to be expected. I wrote a post about that recently on LinkedIn on ways to improve job postings so that people can actually visualize what you're talking about. Because a lot of that is fog, quite frankly. Too many words, nothing that's prioritized. Then when somebody's onboarded, often it's still very generic. People assume too much information. They don't explain exactly what is expected of this individual as part of the team. I was doing a clarity session with a training team some months ago. And in the midst of talking with them live in a group setting, it became clear that there was a little bit of tension going on regarding one person's role. People didn't understand what her exact role was. She didn't understand what her exact role was. It wasn't put into words. It hadn't been put on the same page. And so there was misunderstanding. And once we cleared that up, then there was a way to say, okay, here are the expectations. So just the definition of the job role itself is where that starts. And then on the ongoing basis, and let's say coaching with field reps, and now you're going to take those expectations and you say, here's what I'm expecting from you at this time, in this situation, here at your development cycle, et cetera. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to move to specifics there that are a little more tangible, a little more tactical. But it actually goes back a layer or two to the hire and to the launch of that person, knowing why they're there and the 5 top things they're supposed to do and what their time is supposed to be spent with. So it's again going back to Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. And to the A to B shift. I want you to think and feel and act this way. These are my expectations. We're going to write them down. We're going to agree and align on them. And now we both know what we're after. Mm-hmm. So there's this potential to take a fairly small amount of time to really drill down into the specifics of a role that will make it so much easier to deal with misaligned expectations downstream.
Mm-hmm. What's the impact? That's really powerful. One thing I wrote down is that this notion that if you're bringing somebody into a role, and you're so right about job descriptions, we've been researching a couple of projects, and we have been sent some job descriptions, and you read them. I'm like, this is the same as this one, but it's 2 completely different jobs. And it's, I think there's just like a cut and paste tool out there that cuts, be engaging with customers. It's like, what is that?
But leverage tactics to achieve strategy that fulfills the vision of all the stakeholders. Now, this that kind of crap gets into job descriptions and all the time. And it's like, there's nothing specific there. And one of the key things I talk about, one of the 8 tools that I talk about in communicating with clarity is specifics. Mm-hmm. Human brain needs specifics. We don't need general, vague, obscure nonsense. That's not actionable. So the more specific we can be in the way we communicate, or in this case, with expectations, the more successful we can be. But we want to set people up for success. The only way we can do that is with specificity. Yeah. If we leave too much undefined, then people won't know what they're doing. And what does that lead to? Gallup's huge problem they've been studying for years and years, disengagement. People are going to disengage when they feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to please anybody. I keep getting rebuked for something that I didn't even know I was supposed to do. And this is absolutely endemic.
Yeah. And you said something that really struck me on that. If you're hiring somebody into a new role, this idea of just what are the top 5 things I'm supposed to be doing? And for a kicker, why? Right? Yeah. Something that's I haven't had that many different jobs over my years, but I don't remember anybody ever explaining that to me ever. And how powerful just that one idea is to say, look,
there are a couple of simple things we can do. That is prioritization. Okay. Take the 47 things I'm going to do. Tell me the top 3, top 5. And the other thing, so simple, give me a percentage of time on a typical work week that I'm going to spend on these specifics, so that I can visualize what this job really is.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more telling about what a job really is than how you're actually going to spend your time.
Yeah.
And companies don't do that.
No.
You're hired based on a title, based on a role, based on a blizzard of bullet points. And it's like, let's hope we have a match here.
Yeah. And the correlation that I think you are drawing or started to draw to this world of corporate malaise is right on, right? If you have so multiply that one instance times a few millions, and you have people that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. How do I spend my time? I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but yet I'm still getting rebuked and I'm getting all this. It's like this idea of clarity. It seems like the capital I impact of the lack of clarity is really what we're talking about.
A lot of this, as you know, comes down to leadership. So it's up to leaders at the highest level to set purpose statements, to make clear what the mission, vision, what the value of this company is. But one of the areas that's right under, there are these big picture purposes, okay? And a lot of them are pretty vague in general because they're big companies. Okay. But here's the thing that's missing so many times, Ed. Departments, divisions, and teams have their own set of purposes.
Yep.
Their own value to the organization and to the outside world. And we need purpose and value statements at every level so that people can know what's expected of their group and what's expected of them individually. Mm-hmm. And then you need purpose statements for the individual. We are missing so much on leadership here because a lot of the stuff way up here is fluffy and generic and not actionable. The vast majority of companies do not have purpose statements down to a team or division or department level, and then often no clear expectations down to the individual level. It's a huge opportunity for strategic advantage. Just learn how to do this with clarity. Yeah. I feel like I'm crying in the wilderness so many times. It's not like it's hard, but it's not hard to understand.
There's something that keeps going through my mind. It's not hard to understand, and you're not asking people to do more. You're asking people to take a critical look at the way they do what they do anyway.
Yeah,
and even take things away.
Yeah, right. What it comes down to, Ed, is one word. One word. Focus. What's our focus?
Yeah.
What's my focus? What is the focus of these expectations? It's focus. That's why I talk about fog. If we spew fog, we don't give people focus. And the gift of focus and the gift of clarity is what is going to make people motivated to do great work.
Yeah.
To be unclear, Dave Ramsey, the financial guru, says, to be unclear is to be unkind. We're not being kind to our people if we're not being clear with who they are and what we are and what we expect of them.
That is really powerful. And it's so true. I could talk to you for hours. I have.
We have.
We've done that.
We've done that.
But I want to respect your time, and I'm going to leave it there because it really is true. To be unclear is to be unkind, and there are a lot of other ramifications of it as well. But Steve Woodruff, the King of Clarity, when is the new book coming out?
October 17th. How about that? Specificity.
Just in time for the holidays, right?
The day before my birthday, so that's appropriate.
Nice. The name of the new book is going to be called The Point. The Point. Yep. The previous book is Clarity Wins, and just so much insight to share with us. I thank you sincerely, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you too, Ed. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, man.